Hey there. So I was asked by some friends and acquaintances to maybe show some bass candy, some bass eye candy, and just show a few of the instruments that I own and talk a little about them. Um, yeah, I guess everybody does these videos now, so I'm not not trying to show off or anything, but since I had some requests and I have some time on my hands on a Saturday morning, I figured why not. Um, so I'm actually down in my basement, and I'm just shooting this in the space that I usually practice in and rehearse in, and it's kind of a mess. It's not this place isn't it's not it's not sacrosanct here, but I have this is where I come down and really can just get into playing music after a long day. So typically I leave some basses out. Like these aren't I didn't like come uh you know put these up in a display or anything. I mean, this is just literally I just walked down here and sat down on a stool and turned my camera on. So I actually shot this once and I realized I shot it in vertical format, and I think people tend to hate that on YouTube because you can't watch it as easily. You can't expand it as easily on your screen or your phone or whatnot. So I decided to redo it. So anyway, this is just a couple of my instruments. I at times I've had a lot more instruments. At times I've had fewer. I've got about a half dozen right now, and I play all of them. So I don't have instruments that I just put away and look at every once in a while. All of these get played at shows. They get played rehearsals, around town, open mics, whatever. These are my two Precisions that I own right now. The Fender Precision is, um, I mean, it's a paragon. It is one of the most important sounds in modern music. I mean, nothing sounds like it. Nothing is a perfect imitation. I mean, they are um, unmatched. When you want that sound, nothing else will do. There is no other imitation that will do. Um, so this is a couple of them. Both of these are made in the USA, and I'll tell you a little bit about each one. This one on the left side here is a Fender. This is a 2008 American Standard Precision. And it's the classic look. The three-tone burst, the rosewood. I always wanted one of these ever since I first learned about James Jamerson back when I was first starting to play bass. James Jamerson, the legendary Motown bassist. He's been behind countless artists. You can go read more about him on the web, and I highly recommend a movie called Standing in the Shadows of Motown, which is a great documentary. It's a bit fluffy, and it's got there's a lot of musical interludes, but they bring back all or almost all the living members of the guys who made the Motown sound, and they get behind these more modern artists like Joan Osborne and um, people like that. So it's Shaka Khan, and it's a phenomenal movie, and it also tells the story of these guys who made these great tracks. And this isn't exactly the kind of bass that he played. I believe Jamerson had I think it was 62 was the one that he played, and so it had a different neck. This one's a little slimmer neck. It's a more modern Fender neck that you find on the American Precisions nowadays. So it's a little easier to get around if you have smaller hands. Um, and a little more comfortable maybe for modern players. It's got this high mass, what they call a high mass vintage bridge, or I'm sorry, a high mass bridge, um, which is it's meant to concentrate some, just like it sounds, some mass down at the bottom of the bass to sort of give it more heft and sustain. And this thing sounds great. I mean, these basses sound great as stock, but here's the kicker. Um, when I bought this, I bought it because I had a Precision at the time. I had this a white rosewood finished bass. Right, it was kind of a white finish with the rosewood neck and a tortoiseshell pickguard, kind of like this, and loved that instrument. Loved it. It sounded great.
But I picked up this one in the store, and it just kind of sang to me, and I thought, "Yeah, I must be deluding myself. Maybe it's just because this has a finish that I like. I've always wanted one of these. I'm probably just um, projecting, and it's a nice bass and all, but it's something I'm doing something mentally that is making it sound better than it really does. It probably sounds just like my other bass or something. But lo and behold, I'm playing it. I'm just like, man, I'm really getting off on the sound. And the guy comes from back to the store. He says, "Yeah, oh, we just got that in. That's actually got these custom shop '60s pickups in it. Do you like that sound?" And I thought, that's it. That's the trick. That's what I'm hearing. I'm hearing this added warmth, this added depth. It wasn't so much a clarity as it was kind of an added roundness to the sound. It sounded a little less, I don't know, a little less modern while being just as punchy, but having this added roundness, this warmth in the tone. And I just loved the sound, and so I had to have it. I had to have it. And it's still, this is, I think, probably one of the two favorite basses that I own or have ever owned, ever. Um, Great sounding instrument. So again, it's 2008 American Standard, but those pickups are killer. And I think I bought this for about, I want to say about 800 or 850 bucks, which I think was a great deal considering it had those custom pickups in it. But here's the kicker: so they took out the case. It came in the Fender gun case, which is the style nowadays, and the one that comes with the modern standard, the American Standard series. And they open it up, and lo and behold, the stock pickups are in it. So not only would I get a great deal on the bass, but basically I got a free set of pickups with it. And I'm going to hold on to them, and I'll probably do something with them. Like if I decide to put together a Franken bass of my own, I may use those pickups because Lord knows the standard, the American Standard pickups that come with the P's sound great. I mean, they're fantastic sounding pickups, and what a great way to you know to throw to throw that sound into something that you make yourself. So I haven't decided what I'm going to do with them, but probably something like that if I don't sell them piecemeal or something. So all right, well, let's move on here. So, hopefully, I'm not boring you with the story because all musicians love to hear stories about instruments. So hopefully, this isn't killing you. So this other one over here, I believe is a 2011, and this is an American Vintage 57. And so the thing about the American Vintage system, American Vintage series of basses, is that they're built to spec like the originals, right? They're new instruments, but they're made like the old instruments. They're all made to spec as closely to the old ones as possible. And so that goes, for everything from, you know, the bridge is, that original style of bridge, that kind of cross saddle type or spring saddle kind of bridge. The pickups are wound like the original pickups, and this big baseball bat neck. I don't know. I could lift up a ruler and show you the difference between these, and maybe that would make it clear. But if you look at these two closely, and I'm kind of trying to stand equidistant from them so you can get a size, the relative, or get an idea of the relative size here, you can see that the one on the left is clearly thinner. If you look at just look at the spacing between the strings at the nut and first fret, I mean, you can really see the difference. And it's this bass is also a much thicker neck. Okay, this is going to look way out of whack because it's closer to the camera than the one in the back, so it's not quite that not quite that different, but it's significant, a significant difference. And for the times where, let's see if I can get this in focus, for the times where you want to have your bass fight you back a little bit. If I'm playing straight ahead rock or something like that, or digging really deep for some soul music or something like that, it's really awesome to have this big fat neck, and then you almost feel like you're kind of strangling the bass a little bit, like you're kind of pulling those notes out of it a bit, and the bass fights you back because it's a big neck. You have to work a little harder to get around. If you have smaller hands like I do, you have to work a little bit harder to get around it, and I like that sometimes. Not all the time, but when I do, man, nothing will substitute for that big baseball bat style neck. So this is what they call the white blonde finish, right? It's that white, that beautiful white finish, um, and this gorgeous aged kind of yellowed maple look on the neck. And also, another thing you'll see is that these frets are not the medium jumbo style that they have nowadays. These are more like guitar frets. They're much skinnier, and so that's a different feel as well that I really appreciate when I want it. It's there. This is pretty much stock though. Otherwise, and I don't know if you're going to be able to see this, but I'm going to try and lift this out and show the finish here. That finish, if you look, this is like that original, I think they call it like a nitrocellulose finish. And it's thin. It's thinner than the kind of paint jobs they do nowadays. That are, it's really thick lacquer. This is very thin. You can almost see a bit of the wood um, through that finish. And when I saw it, I thought it was one of the most beautiful instruments I'd ever seen. And again, it had a great sound. It had that old sound, but a little, I would say, a little deeper. Its voice is a little bit deeper than than the 2008 on the left. So again, this is modeled after the 1957 version. When they started, they start right in '57 is when Fender sort of widened the instrument widened the instrument a little bit, and kind of gave it this more a more strat feeling look and a more strat looking shape. The headstock changed shape away from what the Telecaster looked like to more like a Stratocaster. Um, those are just some hallmarks. This is the year that they changed away from the old '50s version. I actually have a '53 reissue, the Sting style. I'll probably do that in another video to show you. But this one is pretty much stock, and I think I spent about I want to say about $1,100. I think on this one, it was stickered at I think 12 or 12.50 in the store, and I got them to come down a bit because it was a little steep, I thought, for this instrument, but it was in really good shape. And it came with everything. It came with just like I got the gun case for the one on the left. This one came with the original, the tweed case that they do the American vintage style in, with the orange plush lining, and it came with everything: the ashtray for the bridge cover, the thumb rest, the screws, the original paperwork, the vintage strap, and the vintage cord. Everything, man. I mean, it was a great deal, and I love finding used instruments. There was a time when I was really precious about instruments, and I would treat them a certain way, and always be worried about scratching them. And I was that way because I bought them new. Now I try to buy nothing new, and not a value judgment on whatever people like to do. If you like new instruments, man, buy to your heart's content. Do what you want. But I'll tell you, unlike cars, right, where somebody can drive the hell out of their car for 100,000, 150,000 miles, and then when you buy that car, you're picking up all the problems and debt that they've accumulated on that engine, and you may have to sink a lot of time and effort or maybe money into it to keep it up. Instruments aren't like that. I mean, unless somebody really, really abused the instrument, like literally they're banging the neck on the floor, they're lifting it up and using it like an axe to chop wood or something. Or ripping the electronics out of it. Instruments stay basically the same character, and if anything, they get better over time. I mean, these aren't that old, so it's not like there's anything special about any aging that's happened to them. But they're a few years old, and I didn't pay top dollar for them. I paid what I think was a reasonable price for these instruments, for their quality and their craftsmanship and their sound. So I'm a big believer in buying used, and I try to only buy used instruments nowadays. I'll look for something that's in pretty good shape, but if it's got some dings, dents, or something like that, I don't care. I really don't care. And it's all about making music. It's all about getting a sound that you want and using them. So, like I said earlier, man, every bass I own now, it gets played. It gets played. And if I don't play an instrument, I sell it because there's no point in me having something tucked away that could make someone else happy. There's no sense in my locking it up. Um, I don't collect for value. I would say that it would be wonderful one day if I could afford a early '60s like pre CBS Fender bass and pass it on as an heirloom. But I'll tell you, if I owned one, I'd probably play it. I'd probably take it out to gigs and you know hire a security guard to watch it or something because those things are expensive, right? If you get one that's in good shape, they can be five, ten, $15,000 in value, and I certainly don't want to lose that at a gig to somebody who's eyeing it. Not that it's ever happened, but too big a risk. But it would be impossible not to take it out and play it. Um, so I really believe in playing instruments. Anyway, so here's this, just two of my collection. I'll probably do another video and show some different things. So I hope that this was interesting or useful or enjoyable. Maybe you got a sense of these instruments, and hope you liked it. Bye.